Hello, welcome back to another Sound of Astrology video. Today we are talking about, or I am talking about, you're listening to the sound of Taurus. My name is Seidel Schultz, and I am a sound astrologer here to connect you to the power and the frequency of your sound. Okay, so as I've been thinking about recording this for you and what I really wanted to share, one thing what just really kept standing out. It's the why. Why am I doing this? Why is it helpful? What difference is it going to make in your life? And here's the thing that I just kept thinking over and over is that we are complex human beings. I freaking love personality tests. I love them a lot, and I have taken dozens over the years, and I think they are so much fun, and they're so helpful because they give us insights into who we are, right? And this is another reason why I I have dove in Divin. I dove into astrology, and why I love it so much is because it helps explain the complex being of us. And so when we take a look at each one of these signs, when we take a look at the planets and what our planets are saying to us and for us, and how our chart is helping support us in being who we are so that we can then express ourselves with more power. That is the why. That is why I'm sharing this. That is why it's so intriguing to learn about these things about astrology, because it helps us understand ourselves better. And then when we understand ourselves better, then we can communicate ourselves with more clarity, with more power, and being heard is such an intrinsic need for our humanness. Okay, so today we're talking about Taurus. I'm talking about Taurus and really listening to Taurus. So one of the things that I just want to say really quickly is I get so much why Taurus is the bull, right? I understand it. So this, like, Taurus is super known for a couple of things. One is being stubborn, like being super duper stubborn. The other is being very I would say lavish and um abundant and all these things. So like just comfort in the things, like comfort food, like wanting nice things, like wanting really nice things, right? So let me tell you what I experienced when I very first started listening to Taurus, the sign of Taurus, and what Taurus was telling me. I saw a tree, and I love the image of the tree for Taurus so much. And let me tell you why. One, Taurus, a tree is very, very stable. Now, it is like, it is hearing, it's also immovable. Yes, at its core, it's immovable, but it is not like completely immovable. So the leaves do move. Um, and this is one of the really great things about Taurus and the light of Taurus. So when we're standing in the light of our Taurus, that means that I am grounded. I am sure. Now, can a Taurus change? Absolutely. Um, I'm just listening. One of the because I've just been thinking about this so much and asking this question, what does a Taurus need the most? Especially like a Taurus moon, what do they need? What kind of love do they need? What kind of support do they need? And one of the things that I really heard so clearly when I was listening to this is encouragement to trust themselves. And so I'm going to say that where Taurus is in your chart, I'm going to encourage you to lean into that trust for yourself. Now, I want to distinguish the difference between not moving because you're stubborn and standing firm in what you believe when it's light, okay? And taking the time to do that. So one of the things that I really honor and value about Taurus is the fact that Taurus is an internal processor. Now, me personally, I'm very external. I'm a very much an external processor. Taurus is a very internal processing system. So that's another thing that I'm going to say. Where Taurus is in your chart, take a look at that because that's where it's going to be really important for you to allow yourself to take the time to be an internal processor. Even if you're an external processor, you're going to want to take time to internally process in that area of your life. Go within, right? Going within will help you find the light. Going within will help you find the light and it will help you find the stability. So to me, that's like the biggest key for Taurus is this place of stability. So the bull to me represents stability. Like when I think of the bull in Taurus in the way of like the light side of it, I see stability. And so we look at this tree, and a tree is stable because it has its root system. It's grounded, which Taurus feels very grounded to me. Um, and obviously it's an earth sign, so that makes sense. But Taurus is grounded and it is a tree, but it's making sure that we're grounded in the right things, right? And we're grounded in the right beliefs so that we can then be stable versus stubborn. Okay, stable versus stubborn. Then what happens then after that is like this really great root system, and then it comes up, and then the abundance is seen in the leaves. And that's where the movement is. The movement is in the leaves around versus in the trunk itself. So that's like let that soak in a little bit because that like when we're looking at your chart, when you're looking at your chart and you're seeing like this is where I can stand more stable. This is where I internally process in my life. And as I do this, this is where I can create abundance in my life and an abundance of like, we'll say an abundance of things, right? That's where we're going to create that in our life. And it will be a very outward experience when we have that stability. Okay, so let's go ahead and take a look at a couple of charts. Dun, 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 dun. Let's see. Okay, I'm going to look at that one last. I'd love to know, like, comment below, what house is your Taurus in? So again, I'm just going to cover this really quick. We are looking specifically at the house that Taurus is cusp by. So cusp means like the beginning of the house. So this one actually has Taurus's cusp by two houses, the fourth house and the fifth house. So this is where we're really looking at that. The reason we're looking at that is because this is where the anchor for that expression is. Okay, is where the anchor for the expression is. And then as you anchor into that expression, it gives room or place for there to be a flow into the expression of the next sign. So like for this chart, looking at the fifth house, she's anchors in Taurus. So as she's grounded, right, and is in this grounded place, so we're talking especially about Taurus, right? As we're grounded in Taurus, and we take that time to go within ourselves and internally process this area of our life, it helps us then step into a place of expression because we've got Gemini, right? So this is specifically Taurus ground, so then we can express. So now we've got Gemini cusps the sixth house, and this is where we would look at for like the Gemini energy and the expression of that, right? And the grounding, the connection of that in our lives, right? So that's why we are looking at the cusp. So you're going to look to see what house starts in Taurus. Now, it is possible that Taurus is um, intercepted, and I want to show you what that would look like. So an intercepted house looks kind of like this, where her ninth house starts in Virgo, her 10th house starts in Scorpio. So there is not like a root for Libra right here. Okay. So if you have questions about that, go check out my video on intercepted houses, the sounds of that. And that will really help you understand how to then connect to that intercepted Taurus energy. Okay, let's get started. Get started with Taurus in the first house. Okay, so the first house is body and character, and we're really focusing on body here, and what that means. Like just as I hear it, just means like taking time to listen to your body. Now, that's important for us all, to take time to listen to our bodies. But here we have in Taurus how important it is for us to be grounded, for those starting with Taurus in the first house, for you to be grounded in your body, to be grounded with your body, and to be really grounded in who you are. So it's like, let's take a look, like come inside, go inside, and like really take a look at what ideas you have about yourself, what beliefs you have about yourself, and really, I'm going to say, question it. Is this true? And is this something that's like, I might believe it, like it might be my truth, but is it the truth? Is it the truth of who I am? Right? Because we really want to make sure that we are grounded and stable in the things of the light instead of stubborn. So like it's just like this is how it's feeling to me with Taurus is if we're not stable, if we're not connected to the light of us, then we're connected to the shadow, and that feels more stubborn. So we've got stubborn as the shadow, stable as the light, right? That's how Taurus feels to me when we're talking about the light and the shadow. So light is stable, shadow is stubborn. So really checking in and making that list of like who I believe I am, and going over that. Is this accurate? Is this the truth, like capital T truth of who I am? And taking that time to like, what does my body need to feel grounded? What does my body need to feel stable? Then we've got Taurus in the second house. So OMG, Taurus in the second house. Like, hello, you connect with your value and you connect with your worth and the abundance. Like, how many leaves are on a tree? I'm just like looking outside at this huge tree that we have in our front yard. And I'm just thinking, wow, like so many leaves on that tree. And we have a pine tree. And I'm just thinking, how many hundreds of thousands or millions of needles are on that pine tree? So much. So Taurus, because being the second house, like when you connect to your value and you get really stable in your value and you're standing in the light of your value and the light of your worth, then the outwardness of that will show and the money comes in, right? And the same, I want to say the same with the body. Like you get stable in your body, and what I see is like this beauty. I mean, I know that Leo rising is like the most beautiful, but also this Taurus, I'm just gonna say, I don't know, but I do know because I can see it and it's like this glow. It's like this Taurus glow. Interesting. So, and also really cool. Okay, third house. Let's talk about third house for Taurus. Third house, communication. So, grounded and stable communication. Do you know one of the things that I'm just thinking right now as I share all of this is light, like light comes from a stable and grounded place. Comes from a stable and grounded place. And and this is something that I've been like thinking about. I've just been thinking a lot about Taurus. And there's been a lot of things that I've been thinking about with Taurus. Isn't that funny? And so not funny as I've been preparing to do this video. I'm like, I just thinking so much about it. And that is so, it's so in line. It's so in line with Taurus and that Taurus energy. But it is, there is light about each sign, right? And there's shadow about each sign. And there is strength and there is weakness for each sign. And one of the strongest parts about Taurus is it really just lends this light. And I want to say too, like it brings things to the light. When you're stable, it brings things to the light. And so I kind of want you to like ruminate on that. How does that bring it to the light? How can you see your Taurus bringing things to the light when you allow yourself to take the time, the introspective time, to look at it? Okay, so let's talk about communication. So if you have third house communication, Taurus in the third house, we are talking about making sure that you are thinking before you're speaking. Okay, like this is going to be a really important thing, and that you're like sure on um, the process of communicating and how to communicate. So I'm just thinking, oh, reading, like obviously reading communications books is good for us all. It's also going to be really supportive for that Taurus in the third house to help create this stable, grounded communication. All right. And then we have Taurus in the fourth house. And I love this. So here we have double Taurus. And I believe this is the first video I've done with a double sign. So when you have a double sign, like either the Scorpio will show up double or the Taurus will show up double, like I mean stronger than the other, stronger than the other. So these are two strong signs for her in her chart. And they're going to show up in two areas of her life. So, grounded in the home and being grounded with herself. So, one of the most important things that we can do with Taurus in the fourth house is to make sure that we are checking in and we are comfortable with ourselves. Now, I know that's like, I say make sure we're comfortable with ourselves. That's like, it feels like a tall order, but it's actually not that tall of an order. If you've got Taurus in the fourth house, it means you actually have access to feel that. One of the things that I super love about Taurus, this Taurus energy, is while they need, like one of the things that they need or is really helpful is encouragement to trust themselves. And that part of that is because they do have this like when they trust themselves, incredible things happen in their life. Okay. And I would say, like, I know, like, we should all trust ourselves in all of these things, right? But it creates this groundedness, it creates this stability, is what creates abundance for them in their life. So I'm gonna share this story because it feels so applicable and I've thought about it several, I was gonna say 17 times while I've been recording this video. Um, so my husband is actually, he's got Taurus sun, and Taurus moon. And he just really like timing is like we say he's just like timing is a thing, right? Um, and it's something like that he struggles with. But the thing is, so we were on vacation recently and we were running late and I was kind of feeling irritated because people were gonna have to wait for us. And it turned out that um, had we left on time, we would have had to go back to get some things. So we left late and we had to make a stop before we met everybody for breakfast. And right before we left, like we were there, we were getting all the things that we needed to get at this place. The people from this place texted us and said, "Hey, we need some more stuff from this place. Have you left yet?" And we hadn't left. And as I sat there, waiting for him to gather all of these things, I thought, if we had left when I thought we should have left, or when it was right to leave, like in my mind, it was right to leave when we left on time, then we would have had driven back. Now, would it have been that big of a deal? No, not really. Was it a big deal that we were late? No, it wasn't. Everybody ate and everything was fine. But it was in that moment I was like, okay, this is a place where it's like, okay, I actually trust you with the timing. And when I trust in the timing, everything actually works out. And it's really weird and also a little bit annoying for somebody who likes to be on the dot time, right? But this is like one of the places that as we trust Taurus and we encourage ourselves to trust our timing in this area of our life, that's where we also can step into this place of abundance, which happens time and time again. I see this happening in his life and in our lives as I trust in the timing, right? And now there are some like encouraging to move, right? But it's like encouraging the trusting of the timing. So encourage that for yourself. Give yourself that encouragement that you need to trust yourself, um, and to trust that like you know what you need to feel comfortable with yourself. What do you need to feel comfortable with yourself? What do you need to create? And the other thing that I hear so much with Taurus, it cusping the fifth house, is um, creation helps me feel grounded. So take a look at that. Creation helps me feel grounded. What can you create today that will help you feel grounded? Even if it's just like, oh, meal, like that will help me feel grounded, or a painting of some sort. So take a look at that. Okay, sixth house on the daily. So these are our daily action steps. These are our chores. How can we approach our chores in a grounded way? Or how do my chores, my daily activity, my daily action steps, how do they help me feel grounded? In what way can I arrange my action steps on a daily basis that will help me feel grounded? How can I trust myself in those daily actions? Um, Yeah. How can I trust myself in those daily actions? Because when you do, that's what creates abundance. Okay. Seventh house Taurus. We're like halfway there, baby. Seventh house Taurus. So we're talking intimate relationships. Now, I want to say, I'm going to remind you here again, like I think I do on every video, this isn't just with your spouse. This isn't just with your significant other or your girlfriend or your boyfriend or, whatever it is. This is also with your friends. the intimate relationship with your friends. And this is the intimate relationship with yourself. So over here in the first house, we have our character and our body. In the seventh house, we have that relationship with ourself. So we're talking about being grounded in our intimate relationship with ourself, like finding that grounding in our relationship with another person and our footing. And really, like the big thing that I'm hearing here is that I trust myself when it comes to a relationship with someone else. So we're not talking about, and while this can show up this way, like your partner can help you feel grounded, right? You could see that in the seventh house. But I really want to look at this as an expression for yourself, right? Without other people involved in it, just so that you can get that stability and you can really connect to yourself, right? Um, and so it's like I bring stability to the relationship. I bring stability and grounding to myself, and I can trust myself in relationships with other people. And when you do that, again, that's where we're going to see the abundance of the leaves, and we're going to see your relationship flourish. You're going to see your relationship with other people flourish. You're going to see your intimate relationship with yourself really flourish. Okay, eighth house. So this is really interesting. The eighth house is fascinating because the eighth house is like, really? Transformation and Taurus, you'd think do not go together. Um, and I'm gonna say this. So this is what I'm gonna say. The big phrase for Taurus in the eighth house is I trust the timing of transformation. I am grounded. I know when it's time to transform. Transformation is comfortable. Transformation leads to the light. Okay, so these are some like really great affirmations for um, Taurus in the eighth house. Then we've got Taurus in the ninth house. So this is like showing up in the way we teach, showing up in the way that we learn, showing up in how we learn, and showing up in travel. Like it can show up in all those different ways. And I want to say, I'm just going to note here, I'm giving this broad, general, like this general overview of the sound of Taurus in each one of the houses. And I want you to know that it can express a little bit differently for you. And it can show up, or you could be struggling to show up in that way or because of some things going on in your chart. If that's the case and you want some help, go ahead and click the link below, and let's set up a session and so I can listen to your chart and really help you connect it to the expression of you. Okay, so what I'm hearing in the ninth house is learning and teaching helps me feel grounded. Learning and teaching helps me feel grounded, and it helps me feel in the light. So what are you learning right now that helps you feel grounded? What are you learning right now that helps you experience this lightness? And when I say lightness, I don't mean airy. I mean this like ability to move. And like I say that, this ability to move, and I don't mean like I guys see the tree again and like the stability of the trunk and the movement of the leaves. Like this kind of movement in the leaves area. Do you see my image right here? If I was a tree, these would be the leaves, right? So this movement up here with the stability in my core, the core of who I am. So light and learning and travel. Like if you love to travel, like then ask yourself, what travel will help me experience stability? How can movement help me experience stability? Oh, I kind of actually really love that phrase for Taurus. How can movement help me experience stability? even if it's just like the swaying of the leaves, right? And the trunk space is staying the same. Okay, 10th house Taurus. Let's talk about 10th house Taurus. And I'm actually going to switch over to this chart because we have coming up on the 12th house Taurus. So we're talking 10th house Taurus when it's cusping the 10th house. So good, because here we have your business, here we have how you show up in the world at large in this very grounded and stable way. So I am saying, trust yourself when it comes to business. Trust yourself when it comes to your work. Like, really get connected, go inward and get connected to yourself. Then you will know what steps to take, when to take those steps, how to take those steps. Trust yourself in that space. And I was going to say, surround yourself by people that trust you and the information that you have to share, because you have an abundance of information and you can bring abundance to your business. You can bring abundance to your workplace as you trust yourself. Okay. Actually, I'm going to take a drink really fast. All right. We're talking now Taurus in the 11th house. All right, my fellow Taurus in the 11th house, this is where I sit. So we're talking about friendships, like friendships at large, right? Not like intimate relationships or like getting to know new friends. We're talking about our hopes and our dreams. And I want to say this too, because I was thinking about this the other day. Like, this isn't just like hopes and dreams. This is our wants too, like, and allowing ourselves to want things. So it's really important for Taurus in the 11th house, for you to go within and say, what is it that I want? What do I want? Even if it's just something simple, like, I really want a burger today, or I really want to wear my glasses today, but really connect to what you want, because that will help you actually connect to your stability. And it's important that when we're talking about crowds and groups of people and showing up online, that you wait until you're stable and you feel grounded in yourself. Now, does that mean like ignore all the things around you? Especially if you have a business and you have to show up online, like ignore all that stuff around you? No, that means that I'm not going to show up until I feel stable. Because when I feel stable and I show up online in that space, then I'm going to see all the fruits. And the fruits are going to come, and they're going to come really quickly. Okay, so I'm going to go within. I'm going to be like, okay, I'm not feeling stable. What do I need to do to feel more grounded and stable? And how do I feel more grounded and stable? In showing up online. And then I show up in that space, because that's when we're going to see the abundance of the leaves. Okay. Taurus in the 12th house. Let's talk about Taurus in the 12th house. So I'm gonna approach it a couple of different ways. So the first way, we'll talk it like subconscious. So this is a lot how a lot of, I think a lot of astrologers talk about the 12th house is the house of the subconscious. It's like the hidden house. It's hard to connect to. Like, if you have your sun in the 12th house, then it's hard for you to be seen, and like hard for your like mind, and like if you've got communication in here, like community, like just like showing up later in life, right? So that's how I've heard it talked about. I also want to say this. This there is truth to that. There is also shadow to that, and a lot of shadow to that. And I say, I see it with this, and I raise it. I see and raise it to this. When we look at the 12th house as a subconscious, it's like, oh, actually, with Taurus in there, like if I come in and I'm like, all right, what are some of my beliefs? Not about who I am, but just like, about like things that happen in my life, or like what beliefs have I created, right? And get connected to our subconscious. And now we're creating stability in it. So what are some things like some things that I'm thinking, like meditating. Meditating really helps us connect and be grounded in with our subconscious, or things that help connect you to your subconscious. And man, I'm just like thinking so much, like so much meditation is just coming up. Another thing that could help is actually music can really help connect us to our subconscious. It kind of distracts our conscious mind and then gets us connected in there, right? And so, like, allowing ourselves to take time, especially if you've got Taurus in the 12th house, allowing ourselves to take time to actually get connected to our subconscious and hear that a little, like, bring the subconscious up to the conscious and hear that and create that connection will help you feel more stable and grounded. So that's like the first half. The other thing that I want to mention with this is the 12th house to me really is our personal relationship with God. So this isn't, we're not talking about religion. I'm talking about our spiritual connection with God or our higher power. So, one of the big things that I hear as I listen to this is that connection to my source will help me experience stability. So connection to my source will help me experience stability, whether that's the universe, whether that's, God, um, whatever that is, this will help you experience stability. So creating a routine with your higher power will help you have the stability that you need to then experience the abundance. You see my tree, the abundance that you're wanting in your life. Taurus is an absolutely fantastic energy that I really love. And I hope that today, in this video, you were able to understand and hear your Taurus in your chart a little bit better. Till next time, bye.